Sitcoms by design are meant to reflect real life. Friends hanging out,
I'm cold too.
Well, damn, Jackie, I can't control the weather.
families solving their problems,
There's a car in the kitchen. There is? Oh, there is. Did you see how it got here?
and people finding love.
That suit looked like a piece of good God wrapped up with some have mercy with a side of
But every now and then, a sitcom says, forget reality. Let's make it weird.
Easy now, fuzzy little man Peach. You ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
And when it works, it's magic.
Oh my God! I'm gorgeous!
Weird sitcoms break the rules of realism and make worlds where absurdity reigns, delivering comedy that's not just funny but imaginative, and even surreal at times. It's truly disappointing watching the fall of the television sitcom when there's so much untapped potential within the genre, as shown by its bizarre gems like The Mighty Boosh, Alf, and my personal favorite Third Rock from the Sun. These shows are odd, but they maintain strong writing and performances, and these shows' ability to suck us into their absurdist plots is remarkable. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. What is a weird sitcom? So I guess weird sitcom isn't a real term for these types of shows, but I'm gonna go ahead and coin it now, and as the creator of this video, I should get to define it, right? Sitcoms by definition are designed to be comforting and familiar. Simple conflicts.
You threw my sandwich away. My sandwich?
Lovable characters.
Subject: fire. Dear Sir Stroke Madam, I'm writing to inform you of a fire.
And that oh so reliable laugh track.
Bazinga.
At least if we're talking multi-camera sitcoms. But every now and then a show comes along that says let's throw that little rulebook out the window. And this is where weird sitcoms come in. Weird sitcoms aren't grounded in reality, they thrive in worlds where anything is possible. They break the rules of traditional storytelling, taking sitcom conventions and flip them on their heads. For example, Third Rock from the Sun, the Solomons aren't just your typical quirky family, they're aliens pretending to be human, stumbling their way through Earth's strange rituals, like buying a car.
We can't win.
What?
We can't win. This is no ordinary guy. He's a soul sucker.
Or surviving Thanksgiving dinner.
I got one for each of us. I'm telling you, something is up. The radio said the airports were jammed with people trying to get out of town.
As a matter of fact, I just saw a report on a turkey ranch, and those birds were talking apocalypse.
Then we have something like The Mighty Boosh, a show that abandons logic altogether. One moment you're in a London flat, and the next we're listening to the moon sing a jingle.
He's so bright and milky white.
Which is really just Noel Fielding's face coated in shaving cream. And obviously we can't forget Al, a sitcom about a sarcastic alien living with a suburban family with a propensity for eating cats.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Weird sitcoms don't just take you out of reality, they throw you into a whole new version of reality that's even more hilarious. And what these types of shows share is a willingness to take risks. They refuse to be constrained by the rules of realism, instead creating worlds where the absurd becomes the norm. And while that might alienate some viewers, and that's possibly why these shows aren't in the discussion of the great sitcoms of all time like Friends and Seinfeld, it's exactly what makes them unforgettable, at least for me. So why are weird sitcoms so great? Well, for me at least, when it comes to sitcoms, I tend to gravitate towards shows that play with reality, break conventions, or defy logic. I think sitcoms really shine when they rely on the power of the unexpected. I can only watch the antics of some samey family so many times before the entire premise becomes stale. And even more grounded shows like It's Always Sunny, I would consider a weird sitcom, simply due to how disconnected from reality the gang is.
A starter car! This car is a finisher car! A transporter of gods! The Golden God!
And this show takes full advantage of the power of the unexpected. For example, in Season 5, Episode 10, the Dennis System episode, in this episode, Dennis, a notoriously self-absorbed sociopath, explains to his friends a very detailed and deeply disturbing system for controlling women.
So you're gonna want to nurture that dependence that she's feeling on you now, guys. Have her car towed, or you can slash her tires.
Which on its own is an absurd idea. However, it's made even funnier by how seriously Dennis presents his method.
And this is the best bang of all because it's very emotional for her. You see, she thinks she's broken through my tough exterior and coerced affection.
Then followed by the gang's reactions, which fluctuate from skepticism to outright admiration for his manipulative tactics.
Smooth. Very smooth stuff. Very classy. I'm learning a lot from you right now, dude.
The system itself is a dark twist on what you'd expect from somebody explaining their romantic pursuits, and the absurdity comes from the gang treating with an almost clinical level of seriousness. creating humor from the sheer strangeness of Dennis's beliefs and actions and the lack of concern from those around him. We get a similar experience in Third Rock from the Sun because these characters aren't human, and they don't understand our societal norms, so commonplace situations can be a massive ordeal to our characters or vice versa.
You bailed a guy out of jail. You brought him into your home, gave him the keys to your house, to your car, and now you're surprised he's stolen it.
Something horrific for us could be commonplace in their culture, giving us a ton of room to shock the viewers with their reactions. Weird sitcoms allow us to escape into bizarre worlds where normal rules of storytelling don't apply. They give us characters who don't fit into the typical mold and situations that leave us scratching our heads or giggling our asses off. And beyond their use of the unexpected, weird sitcoms don't just rely on jokes or gags, they use their strangeness to give us a deeper view on human nature. Third Rock from the Sun, for example, isn't just funny because aliens don't get how human society works. It's great because it's a fresh lens from which to look in on our own culture, behaviors, and quirks. The aliens' misunderstandings don't just lead to laughs, they force us to confront how strange our world can be when viewed from the outside. Similarly, we have Wilfred, which uses its surreal premise to explore human nature from an outside perspective. The show centers on Ryan, who sees his neighbor's dog, Wilfred, as a foul-mouthed alcoholic Australian in a dog suit.
Sounds like somebody wants to see my balls.
Through Wilfred's bizarre antics and blunt observation, the show highlights the absurdity of human relationships, societal expectations, and personal anxieties. Then there's Dinosaurs, which takes the concept even further by presenting a prehistoric family of anthropomorphic dinosaurs living in a satirical version of modern American suburbia. On the surface, it's a goofy family sitcom with elaborate puppetry, but underneath, it's paired with a sharp social commentary.
Voters of this nation are presented with a choice between a monstrous, bloodthirsty psychopath and a self-confessed brain-dead ignoramus.
The show tackles issues like environmentalism, gender roles, consumerism, and corporate greed, all through the absurd lens of talking dinosaurs. By framing these very human problems in such an outlandish setting, Dinosaurs makes the familiar feel strange and forces the viewers to confront the ridiculousness of these societal norms from an outsider's lens. Much like Third Rock from the Sun and Wilfred, the show uses its weirdness not just to entertain us, but to peel back layers of human behavior and show us how bizarre we really are. Weird sitcoms in their own way use these outlandish setups not just for comedy, but as a mirror to the audience, reflecting just how weird human existence is right back at us. The beauty of weird sitcoms lies in their freedom to experiment. Traditional sitcoms are often confined by certain rules, especially in the past where laugh tracks reigned in multi-camera sitcoms. Structured character development and predictable narratives were the norm, but these shows break those boundaries, allowing for moments of true creativity. They give us stories that aren't bound by logic, where a man can get sucked into a wormhole in his living room, or an alien can learn about love through watching human television. They invite us to embrace the weirdness in our own lives, all the while pushing the genre forward. Shows like these paved the way for modern experimental sitcoms we've grown to love, like The Good Place or even Atlanta with its off-the-wall absurdist episodes. I think people don't realize how formulaic television once was, and it's shows like these that taught us that it's okay to break the mold and try something new. And I think it's about time some of these shows get some recognition. So speaking of recognition, in my mind at least, Third Rock from the Sun is the crown jewel of the weird sitcom. Premiering in 1996, the show centered on 4 extraterrestrial beings who come to Earth disguised as a human family to study the planet and its inhabitants. But the concept shines due to how their family structure is crafted, and that's where a lot of the comedy takes form. John Lithgow plays Dick Solomon, the high commander of the mission, posing as a physics professor at a local university.
I'll tell you what, we'll have lunch and I'll fill you guys in on all the sexy details, okay?
And Lithgow's over-the-top theatrical performance earned him 3 Emmys during the show's run. His exaggerated reactions to mundane human experiences, whether it's falling in love or dealing with office politics, are nothing short of genius. Then there's Sally Solomon, played by Kristen Johnson. She's the team's security officer, but the family needed a female in the family unit, so she's stuck navigating the confusing world of femininity and gender roles. Sally struggled with the traditional female expectations while maintaining her badass, militant personality creates some of the show's funniest moments.
I've been undercover here for years. I can't tell you my mission, it will put you in jeopardy. But what you just saw me do to that gun, I'm gonna do to you.
Then we have Tommy Solomon, played by the very young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, is the oldest and wisest member, technically, and he's the information officer. But on Earth, he's stuck in the body of a teenage boy, which subverts the usual sitcom dynamic since the most mature is now the lowest rank. Seeing Tommy grapple with high school drama, all the while being the most intellectually advanced member of the family, and technically everyone in the family's senior, this is also one of Gordon-Levitt's breakout performances and showcased his natural comedic timing long before his indie film and dramatic roles. And last but definitely not least, there's Harry Solomon, played by French Stewart. Harry's the transmitter for communications with their alien leader, the Big Giant Head, voiced by none other than William Shatner. Harry's bizarre physical comedy and squinty-eyed deadpan delivery made him a fan favorite.
Oh, hey, look out the window.
They're here! They're here! Albino brain chiggers!
Stewart's commitment to making even the simplest gestures, like answering the door, feel alien and awkward is a huge part of what gives the show its weird charm. What makes Third Rock so brilliant is how it plays with sitcom tropes. The family is a total farce, but through their interactions, they still become very oddly relatable. They lack the closeness of a real family because they aren't a real family, but as they adapt to human life, you grow closer to them as they grow closer to each other. They stumble through human rituals like dating, working, and celebrating holidays, all while offering an outsider's perspective on how bizarre our everyday lives really are. The show takes mundane human experiences and filters them through the lens of clueless aliens, creating situations that are as hilarious as they are thought-provoking. And the show's absurdity doesn't just stop at the family dynamics, it constantly throws in weird guest stars like John Cleese as a fellow alien and Shatner as their chaotic leader. And even though the show follows a traditional multi-camera format with a laugh track, it constantly breaks the mold, the writing is sharp, and the performances are over the top. The show isn't afraid to deep dive into the absurdity of human life. So the Solomons may be aliens, but their struggles with identity, love, and belonging are universally relatable, and I think a lot of modern sitcoms could learn a lot looking back on shows like these. So why are weird sitcoms important? And it's not just because they're offbeat or quirky, it's because they break the mold. They challenge the tired formulas that have made sitcoms feel stale over the years.
Did I do that?
While traditional sitcoms rely on familiar setups like the bumbling dad, the overachieving mom, and the precocious kids, weird sitcoms throw those expectations out the window and ask, what if we did something completely different? Think about it. The golden age of sitcoms, from Friends to Big Bang Theory, thrived on predictable, relatable setups.
We were on the break!
And for a while that worked, but over time, audiences grew tired of seeing the same dynamics play out over and over again. It's no coincidence that as sitcoms leaned more and more into formula, their cultural relevance started to fade. Today, most people can't name a sitcom that's dominating the conversation away like The Office or Seinfeld once did. But weird sitcoms, they refused to play it safe. They embraced the absurd, the surreal, and the unexpected. Shows like Third Rock from the Sun didn't just give us another family sitcom, they gave us aliens pretending to be a family. The Mighty Boosh dove straight first into surreal, musical, and psychedelic comedy, creating a world where anything can happen. Alf took the classic suburban family trope and just fucking dropped a sarcastic, wisecracking alien into the mix. These shows didn't just entertain, they innovated. And that's why sitcoms need weirdness to survive. When shows experiment, they keep the genre fresh and exciting. They take risks, and while not every risk pays off, the ones that do become cultural touchstones. Think about Arrested Development. It was absurd, meta, and it broke all the traditional sitcom rules. And it's still beloved today because of it. Or Community, which thrived on parodying different genres and never settling for just being another college sitcom. If more shows embraced this kind of creativity instead of clinging to the familiar, sitcoms wouldn't be dying out, they'd be evolving. TV audiences are smarter and more diverse than ever. They're looking for shows that challenge them, surprise them, and make them see the world in a new way. Weird sitcoms do exactly that. They remind us that comedy isn't just about punchlines, it's about pushing boundaries, flipping expectations, and ultimately just making us laugh. There's too much great TV these days to settle for a predictable, samey sitcom. And at their core, weird sitcoms aren't afraid to ask big questions or dive into strange territory. They experiment with form, character, storytelling, proving there's no one right way to make people laugh. And in an era where streaming platforms churn out endless content, that kind of bold, creative risk-taking is more important than ever. Because when a show dares to be different, it doesn't just stand out, it sticks with you. It becomes the kind of show you remember, quote, and revisit years down the line. In the end, I don't think every sitcom needs to be weird, but they do need to try something new. And through the 90s and 2000s, there were so many sitcoms just flooded out because they wanted to insert hot comedian and push something out, that it really tarnished the legacy that sitcoms had built. But hey, it's also possible these shows have had their time in the sun, and it's time we move on to a new form of comedy on television. If so, at least I'll have shows like these to look back on and be brought back to a time where creative writing was a staple of network television. There's a reason that laugh tracks died out, and it's because people aren't laughing anymore. But that's really all I got for you. Be sure to check out my podcast. I'll link a thing somewhere. And have a good day.